Hi, I'm Dana Flanary for Troy Community Television On Demand, live here at Meet the Candidates Night at Troy Junior High. I'm here with Eric Haemmerle, a Troy graduate. Hi, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Eric, what would you say the number one issue voters are facing this time around?
Well, what impacts the voters of the 8th District first and foremost are jobs. Jobs are the backbone to any economy, and I teach at a vocational school, and I think that's what we need to do is reinvest in vocational training because those are recession-proof jobs for a highly trained workforce for the 21st century.
Thank you. That's great. Do you think there were any topics that weren't covered tonight that you would have wished they had asked you?
I wish there was more time to give more specific answers. I tried to touch on the VA because, like I mentioned up there is a gentleman here in Troy named Bill Elliott, and Bill Elliott needs a lot of help. He's a soldier, he's a veteran, and at every turn where he's gone to the VA for help, he's been denied, he's been rejected, and I think that's absolutely criminal that we ask so much of our veterans and they look for the care that they need and the treatment that they need and there's so much red tape and they're not able to get that treatment. I wish we had more time to talk about Bill, and I wish we had more time to talk about the need to help our veterans.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. High school with Bill Beagle. Hi, Bill.
Good evening. How are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
Thank you for being here tonight. What did you think of this event?
Well, I thought a couple things. This is by far the largest attended event we had. When we cover over 5 counties, we go to a lot of these events, especially as we get closer to the election. So we've done a fair number of these, and tonight's crowd was far and away the largest. And we had a number of interesting questions, and so we had some new types of topics that we were talking about when we talk about what do you promise to do, for example, and some other things. So we heard some new questions, and that's always invigorating as a candidate to hear something a little different.
Good, and it's invigorating to know that we had the largest turnout so far. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's gone great, and I suspect you'll probably have a good crowd tomorrow. There are a lot of races going on. A lot of people are probably more engaged than in other years. There's a lot of thought about Washington, and are things getting done or aren't they? Is the country going in the right direction or not? And you can see that in tonight's crowd. And for our race, we haven't had a congressional race with an open seat in 25 years, and there's 15 people running, and people are very anxious to know. The congressman, it's an important decision. It's one this person could be in this seat for a long time, and they're taking it very seriously. And as a voter, I'm thrilled with that.
Good. What do you think is the number one issue voters are facing this year?
Voters are angry, and you can see that in who's leading the polls. So people want something different, and they're concerned about national security. They're concerned about financial issues in our financial health. Are two of the big topics that we're talking about in the size of government. Those are the things that people are talking to me about, and just wanting something different and wanting to have Washington start solving problems, have Washington accomplish something, and move the country forward. They're tired, I think, of some of the bickering and the lack of getting things done, and just that our problems seem to be going unaddressed. And they're anxious to find somebody who can shake things up.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. I'm here with J.D. Winteregg. Hi, J.D.
Hi.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, no problem.
What did you personally think of this event this evening?
I love doing this. This is the second time I've done it, and I love the fact that the community gets out. I love the fact that good questions are asked, and that people like me are given the opportunity to have a voice in this whole thing. So I love everything about it. Sound like Donald Trump, don't I?
You sound great.
Yeah.
Was there anything that you wish you'd been asked tonight that they didn't touch on?
Not necessarily me. I wish there would have been some elaboration on where people get the money and who they're beholden to. You know, there are special interests involved in this that I think people need to know about, and those are important things because people are sick of that. People are sick of a lack of representation, and frankly, we haven't had representation in a while. So.
Very interesting. That was one of your main talking points this evening about where the money comes from. Yep. It's definitely what people want to hear. What do you think is the number one issue that voters are facing in this election?
The voters are facing, talking to the voters in District 8, the 3 things that are important to them are education, agriculture, and small businesses. Those are 3 areas I've got a lot of experience, probably more than any other candidate. It just so happens that this is what voters are talking about, and this is what's important to District 8.
What do you think that you would do best to advocate for small businesses?
Well, first of all, I'm someone who understands how to combat the other side. We haven't had any backbone in Congress. We need someone who can go in there and really change the culture and work to change the culture. So no matter what my ideas are, they don't matter until the culture changes, and it's the same for everybody. So the thing I bring that will help small businesses is this desire and ability to change the culture there.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being here, JD.
Yeah, thank you.
We appreciate it. I'm here with Scott George.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you. Thanks for
I
having
know
me.
we all appreciate it. What did you think of this event this evening?
I thought it was a great event. This was, I think, by far the biggest event and most well-attended event that we've had in the entire campaign. And I think it was well run and well organized, and you can tell that they've done this for many years. I think Mr. Baker does a great job in putting it together.
Good. You know, that says a lot for the voters of Miami County that we keep hearing we are the biggest turnout event of the season so far. So that's wonderful to hear. Was there anything you wish you'd been asked tonight that they didn't touch on?
Yeah, I think really about how you would get the economy going. So I think there's a couple approaches to that. One would be a short-term approach, and one would take a little bit longer to do that. But certainly one of the things that I hear from the business owners that I talk to, it really comes down to regulations. And those are state-driven regulations, but also federal regulations, and that we can repeal those quickly and really could be a jump start to our economy. I would start with Dodd-Frank because it's done more to kill small-town banks and restrict the loaning from small-town banks. And those community banks are the ones that actually invest in those small businesses in our communities because they're willing to take a bit more risk to impact our communities. And the second side of that then really comes down to tax reform. And we can't reform our own tax plan. It's 75,000 pages long. And so I would actually be for repealing our tax plan and actually replacing it with the fair tax, which would eliminate our corporate tax and our individual income tax and convert that then to a national sales tax. And with the elimination of that corporate tax, which is the highest in the world, all these companies that are doing tax inversions and moving offshore all come rushing home to an American workforce that's the best workforce in the world. And so all these jobs start coming back home and takes care of our unemployment problem, our underemployment problem. You'll also have foreign companies that'll want to locate here too because it'll be the biggest tax shelter in the world for corporate taxes.
Interesting. So you believe in the fair tax.
I do.
Are you a Tea Party candidate?
I am not a Tea Party candidate, so I am definitely a conservative, but I don't think everything is black and white. There are certainly things that I will actually, I would fight for to the bitter end, but I think socially I'm probably a little bit more accepting, but fiscally I'm absolutely a fiscal conservative.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
All right, thanks.
Have a
Thanks for
good
having
night.
me.
The very tall Jim Spurlino. Thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
What did you think of this event tonight?
I thought it was great. I thought it was a great crowd. They were obviously engaged and interested, and hopefully they found some answers that were interesting for them.
Thank you. Is there anything you would like to tell the listening voters that maybe you weren't asked tonight?
I would hope that they would at least go to the websites and investigate more, because it is tough in these forums to get much information from the small sound bites. But mostly about me is I'm not a politician. I'm a businessman. I've done a lot of community work, and really that's the kind of experience that I think I'd like to convey and make sure that they know that's something that will work in Washington, not the old career politicians.
Interesting. Thank you so much. We appreciate you being here.
All right, thanks for having me.
Good night. Kevin White. How are you, Kevin?
I'm doing very well.
Good. Thank you for being here tonight. What did you think of this event?
Very well organized, right on time, very punctual, and excellent community participation.
Thank you. We keep having wonderful compliments about the turnout here in Miami County. If you could have been asked one thing tonight you feel like they missed, is there anything you wish they had asked you?
I like to see more direct interaction with the public and less of the moderator to the candidate thing. And also, it's hard to answer questions about global war on terror in 45 seconds. I believe my strength is varied between national defense, international commerce, the economy, small business, big business. I'm the only guy that's been in the combat or the war on terror for 6 tours and served in 2 branches of service. So I would like to have more time to flesh out some of the key things on those issues.
Okay. And what do you think is the #1 issue that voters are facing this election?
Well, I think both parties have left the voter behind. I think there's a lot of angst, a lot of frustration, and in some cases outright anger. I expect turnout to be high this year across the board. And, there are a lot of important issues. But if we don't have a strong economy, we can't maintain our national defense, we can't fix the border security issue, we can't pay for our entitlements. So I would like to see the country go back to the limited form of government and go back to the roots of our republic and not move toward more socialism. And we need to fight for the messaging of our conservative values to the younger people so that they realize that socialism and dependency creates mediocrity and then strips the individual of their dignity. There's no pride of ownership, no sense of accomplishment, no motivation to compete. To summarize that, why do you think Americans love sports so much? Because they love raw, unfettered competition, and where the best team wins. That's what we need. We need the free market solutions to take back where they rightfully belong and remove the burden and heavy yoke of government from our people.
Well, thank you so much. You're another analogy guy, aren't you?
Yes, ma'am.
And this is Kevin White. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm here with Warren Davidson. Hi, Warren.
Hi.
Thank you for being here tonight. What did you think of this event?
It was a great event. I really enjoyed being able to participate in it. Leadership Troy has been a big event in Troy for every election cycle, and it was kind of interesting to be on this side of the table.
Good. What do you think the number one issue voters are facing in this election would be?
I think the number one issue is growing our economy. Our economy's been slow to grow. It's been stagnant growth. I know for sure in growing our companies, Obama hasn't helped us build any of them. I'm really pleased to get support of Club for Growth. They're the leading pro-growth advocacy group in the country, and engaged in politics. And the real focus for growing the economy needs to be reducing our tax code, reducing the regulation, and letting businesses invest. Small businesses like ours have struggled to grow jobs, and the biggest reason they've done it is because of the regulatory environment and the complexity of running companies, including healthcare. Obamacare has been a nightmare for our companies.
So you would vote to repeal Obamacare if you came into office?
Absolutely, and it's shameful that just a month or so ago, Obama had to veto it for the first time. But aside from that, we really need to fix healthcare, not just repeal it. It was broken, and Republicans didn't want to address the fact that it was broken. And I think we need to come with a solution that really does help control costs. The real name of it is the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. All those things need done, and Obamacare has done none of that.
Well, thank you, Mr. Davidson, for being here this evening. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
With Edward Meer. How are you doing, Edward?
I'm doing fine. How are you guys doing?
We are wonderful. Glad to be here. This was a very exciting event.
Oh, it was all kinds of excitement. Fireworks, prizes, great speeches. Oh, yes. If you weren't here, you missed out on all the fun. Me fumbling through a starting speech. It's wonderful.
You did a great job. You worked at 6 o'clock this morning.
That is true. I took the day off yesterday to be on TV, another meet and greet, and I got a text message from my boss right before I went out, and he said, can you please come in at 6 tomorrow and the rest of the week? And I said, yeah, I guess I can. So left work today at 4 o'clock, got home, changed my clothes real quick, and drove up here from there.
Oh, so are you scheduling sleep on this campaign?
No, not really.
Good thing for the voters to know. What do you think is the number one issue voters are facing this year?
In the local area, it's going to be jobs. Jobs are the biggest problem, but on the federal level, it's going to be the deficit. There's some estimates that say in 6 to 8 years, 6 to 10 years, our government can't pay any bills. Once that happens, we're going to be defaulting just like Greece did, and our collectors aren't going to go and be nice to us. And we do have a lot of good, valuable stuff, and they're going to want to take it. We don't owe debts to nice people either.
So what is the number one thing that you're most passionate about? Maybe something they didn't ask you tonight.
After the deficit and fixing the budget, I want to go take care of my brothers and sisters in arms. The veterans have been cast aside by our government. They seem to always get cast aside, and I don't like that there's so many nonprofit groups taking care of them when our government should be the one stepping them. There shouldn't be any need for nonprofit groups to take care of them because our government should be there 100% of the time, all the time. The next thing is I would like to bring this country to a point where we don't have abortions in it, but I know that the last 40 years, the route that our party has been taking just hasn't been working. I have a plan that does not take away a woman's right to choose. It just kind of helps with fixing a lot of the problems. It's like if you have cancer. If the cancer is being fed by something, you don't just cut the cancer out and think it's not going to come back. You got to cut everything that's feeding the cancer, and then the cancer will be taken care of. My idea, if I get elected in 20 years, there won't be any more abortions in this country, not because we took away the right for women to choose, but because we fixed a lot of problems. Women have to have abortions, and because we're also educating young women in different ways and empowering them so they don't end up doing something foolish and having to need an abortion. And I have a very personal issue with that, and I just don't want to see anyone going through what I went through ever again.
Well, thank you for sharing with us. That's very interesting. Edward Meer, wonderful to have you. I'm here with George Woolley. Hi, George.
Hello.
Thank you for being here this evening.
It's my honor to be with you.
What did you think of the event?
It was tremendous. It's one of the biggest crowds. I think it was, no doubt, the biggest crowd we had in the 2 months that I've been campaigning all across the district. And so that speaks well for Troy. There's a lot of concerned people here. And the fact that we have 3 out of the 14 candidates from Troy, I think, speaks to this is a community that cares, truly cares, and wants to make our country better. So that's been my impression of the Troy community in this race.
That's what we've been hearing all night, that this is the largest turnout, and we're so proud of our county for that, and our town.
Yeah.
Were you wondering maybe if you could have been asked something that they didn't touch on tonight, something that's passionate to you, what would that be?
Well, this is something that I normally address the Republican audiences with, but it's something that motivated me to run because, and I know we are a 2-party nation, 2 main party nation, so not everybody that's listening is going to care or certainly not going to share my point of view on this issue. But the fact that what motivated me to run was the fact that our party here in Ohio, the Republican Party of Ohio, is run by a guy by the name of Matt Borges. And before he took that job as the chairman, he was the head of the Homosexual Marriage Initiative. He was a lobbyist for them, and they've been successful in the Supreme Court to overturn traditional marriages. I've been a longtime Republican activist, been on the platform committee, and worked on many a campaign. I've been a delegate to the state and county conventions. And so I helped write that platform in previous years. I know what it says, and it says, the Republican Party supports traditional marriage. We've always said that as long as I know that the issue has been in play for decades. So the fact that, this is not a knock against homosexuality. I respect the freedoms in America. You can get as weird as you want. We all understand that. For the most part, respect that. My issue is that the Republican Party is a party of traditional marriage. So how can we be led by a leader who does not agree with that? That's my only bone of contention. And so I've been asking the constituents to agree with me and to petition their leadership, especially the Republican leadership, to ask for Mr. Matt Borges to resign and be replaced. I'm not saying he's a bad man or anything. He's just not consistent with the party platform. I just think that's it's strange. And one other aside, I was told, I don't know if this is bona fide truth, I've not had an investigator or anything on this, but I was told that Governor Kasich is the one that made sure that Matt Borges was put in as our executive director of the Ohio GOP, and then he's changed his title to chairman now, but we know he's still there and he's still in charge. And so that is what has motivated me. That was like the straw that broke the camel's back. The abortion issue and all of the things that Mr. Obama's done has really angered me, but this was like the final straw. I decided, by God, I'm going to put my name in there and speak out on these issues that are of great concern to me. And thank you for allowing me to do that on your channel here.
We're trying to be fair and allow everyone to say what they feel most passionate about. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and it's nice meeting you. And God bless Troy, and God bless America.
Thank you.